So what is Bushido Blade?
Not everyone can be a samurai warrior. Not everyone can live by the power of the sword. Not everyone can die with honor. I, for example, make kazoos.
Attention, bloodthirsty consumers. Are you sick of these fighting games where you're fighting with weapons like blades and spears, but you might as well be fighting with bread and pillows with how much damage they're doing? Do you want to see some bloodshed? Well, Squaresoft and the PS1 have the perfect game for you. Bushido Blade was released in 1996 on the PlayStation Uno. A one-on-one weapon-based fighting game, this game was released in the same era as Soul Edge and the Tekken series, but isn't as acclaimed, to which I think is a generational shame. While most other fighting games nerfed the effectiveness of weapons in regards to balancing out the fighting system, Bushido Blade calls the rest of them sweet and make weapons behave realistically, which means fights can be ended in literally one strike. Yes, I'm being dead serious. None of that sword being as dull as a bread knife. You hit your opponent with a good place hard shot, they are as dead as the ozone layer. There are no health meters, no time meters, no kind of HUD whatsoever, just a couple of well-placed swings and death. The abruptness of this makes every fight super tense, as one mistake can lead you to your end. No takebacks. Not just that, but any non-lethal shot affects both your and your opponent's ability to fight. You can injure an opponent's arm and make them fight one-handed. You can take out a leg and limit their ability to dodge or even run away. You can even take out both legs and watch them roll on the ground like an idiot. Then stab them in the forehead to end their suffering. This quick pace of battles requires both patience and precision. Hence, the code of the Bushido. Bushido Blade is more than its quickening nature, however. Like most of the fighting games of that era, it's a 3D style fighter, with the fighters given free reign to run around the arena and interact with the environment. You are automatically facing your opponent at the start, with each button controlling a strike target. You can strike toward the head, the upper body area, or lower body or legs, which, depending on your opponent's actions, can result in damage to a limb or a lethal shot if you hit the right area. Some characters also have special projectiles that they can throw, which are never lethal, but can definitely lead to some shish kebabbing. You can also change between 3 stances, which changes up the direction of your attacks, and in different combos you can pull off, just in case your opponent has gotten used to your usual attacks. And just in case you don't want to engage with your opponent, just by holding the L button, you can just run away. With this feature, you can literally run away from your opponent all throughout the 3D environment, running through bamboo, climbing up hills and down cliffs, and pissing off your opponent to the max. Your opponent can also do this, so some games might degenerate to a Benny Hill chase sequence. The body damage system and maneuverability combine to make up this game's crowning jewel and most outstanding features. It made all fights super stressful, especially when fighting multiplayer. This doesn't mean that this doesn't have its drawbacks, as with fights ending in an instant, there is a high degree of bullshit involved with fighting. Weapons are of course restricted by the environment, so if you are close to a wall or any other solid object, you can continuously hit it off to back to back, which your opponent can take advantage of by cutting your nipples off. You can guard, but your opponent can get past you with a lucky shot because defending is clunky. You can disable both your opponent's legs and your other arm and have them at the brink of death, and then they can get that one lucky shot in and kill you, which is likely to cause an actual deathmatch in real life. Outside of combat, this game has a standard story mode, versus mode, slash, which is their survival mode, a POV mode, a theater to watch all the endings you unlocked, and your standard options. You have your pick of 6 characters, all random assassins from the same shadowy clan. The story is essentially the character you pick is a deserter to the clan, and everyone else is sent by the corrupted leader to kill your ass. Now, there isn't much difference between each character besides slight speed, strength, and special move differences, but instead, before you fight, you get your choice of weapon. 8 weapons in fact, which change up your different stances, attacks, and combos. In a sense of functionalities, the weapons are the choosable characters, while the characters themselves are more aesthetic. Though some characters specialize with certain weapons more than others. The weapons themselves range from different types of swords, a naginata, and even a fucking sledgehammer. Each weapon has a different score ranking in the categories of speed, strength, and reach that affect the fighting style of each user. For example, you can expect the sledgehammer to be powerful with a good reach, but really slow in practice. So while trying to hit opponents might be a challenge, one hit may be all you need to put them down. So yeah, story mode. It's your standard fight with an opponent back to back till you make it to the sub-bosses and the final boss. The combatants may talk to you at the beginning with a courtesy bow, which you can definitely interrupt for an easy kill, and you might get a few words afterwards if they aren't dead yet. But otherwise, it's pretty bare bones. You just keep fighting till a wall of text about dishonor, and now you're back at the menu? The fuck? That's anticlimactic. Did I do something wrong? Well, yes, actually I did. In the story mode, you must honor the Bushido code, which means no bringing dishonor to your family with your actions. So no pre-fight stabbing, no slashing to the back, no throwing sand on the ground and such, or else the game will literally cock-block you on the ending. If you act honorably, besides the other 5 characters, you also face 3 sub-bosses and the final boss, Hanzuki, head of your clan. Beat him, and you unlock your character's ending. Each character actually has 2 endings, but the second is locked behind the first, which, in order to do so, you must unlock the first and do a convoluted suit of actions that I just don't have the energy for. The only other things to do are slash mode, which is what I'd like to call your basic survival mode. In this crowded castle, you must fight your way through 100 enemies, with a checkpoint at each 10th integral. This is difficult, but not impossible, as each opponent has a strict strategy you can take advantage of. Then there is POV mode, which is for your motion sickness nightmare. Bushido Blade is a super enjoyable and super competitive fighter, lost to history, that, yeah, has its drawbacks, and maybe won't show up on the Evo stage anytime soon. But I argue that remastering this for current consoles will be a good reminder of how even flawed games can be super fun. The strategic yet quick gameplay lends itself for couch co-op fun nights, even if they might turn violent near the end. And hey, completing the slash mode actually unlocks a 7th character, one of the sub-bosses who instead of choosing a weapon, comes fighting with a fucking gun! This game gets 3 swords out of 5.
やすやすこれで終わるわけがない。どういうことだ、半崎。